bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game.
Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right, welcome, Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. It's Monday, October 9th. That's right, Monday, October 9th. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. 282 days into the new year, just 83 days left. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planets. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? It is Monday, a new week, right here on Fade to Black. Very excited to be in the chair. We've got a lot of stuff going on. Tonight, very special guests Mark McCandlish and Seymore are here to discuss the VCMD Propulsion System. Oh yeah, game changer. Very excited about this show tonight. Worldwide exclusive going down on Fade to Black. Tomorrow night, Anthony F. Sanchez is going to be here. We're going to talk about interdimensional and parallel world contact with ET. Wednesday night, John D'Souza is back. We're going to talk about his new book, Clear Hearers. Thursday's night is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. The call-in numbers are 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Follow us on Twitter at JChurch Radio, Facebook, YouTube. Everything is Fade to Black. JChurch Radio, Jimmy Church Radio, Fade to Black. You know what to do. Go follow, like, and subscribe. Now, if you want to follow along with us in real time in Twitter, use the hashtag F2B. That's simple. Any questions or comments during the show tonight? Hashtag F2BQ. Everything is up and in front of me, and it is all live. We have two chat rooms over in Spreaker or KGRA The Planet, so you can go and do that. You can also email throughout the show tonight, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Okay, we just announced our new sponsor up on Twitter. Okay, it has arrived. Night vision with Bearing Optics. The links I just posted up in Twitter. You can go and check everything out. There is a phone number there too as well. And just call that number. Ask for extension 105. Alec with a C, Hoffman. He's your inside guy. He is a Fadernaut, by the way. All right. Now, we did a little sneak preview over the weekend with the Fadernauts that did inquire about the night vision. So they got in already. And I thank you to everybody that has gone in and purchased these. They are the best night vision goggles out there. So Alec is there to answer all of your questions, what your needs are, figure out the best situation for you, because there's different levels of night vision. And but he is great. He knows what he's talking about. So you have an inside guy now, Alec Hoffman. Some of you have met Alec over the years if you've been out there with us doing any of the sky watches that we have done. And those were bearing optics that we were using. And everything that I have seen, I've always seen it through bearing optics. That's right. The green chrome balls. Bearing optics. I am so excited. I got a bunch of email today. Jimmy, got the goggles. And thank you. But my response back to all of you has been the same thing. I didn't cut and paste the response, but the response is still the same. Your life's about to change. You are about to have fun. You have no idea what you are about to, right? So just enjoy yourselves. Bearing optics. Just mention Jimmy Church, Fade to Black. When you call, you get yourself a little discount too as well. But the thing is you're going to have a connection to the inside. You're going to have some hand holding. Okay, bearing optics. And so it's up. There are two separate pages. I could actually do both. Let me see how easy that is for me to pull off if I can. If I can, I'll put up both links. But nonetheless, it's just two different pages for two different sets of night vision. Okay? All right, there you go. Worldwide announcement, green chrome balls with bearing optics. Thank you so much, Bearing. Nothing but a great future ahead. And I want to say this again, as with all of our sponsors on this show, all of them, they are family. That's what you do. Support the show, support yourself, improve yourself. We'll improve the show with all of our sponsors. Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, New Pharma, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, Studio Dome speakers, and now Bearing Optics. Okay? And then next Monday, we will be announcing another worldwide announcement with another sponsor here at the show. So there you go. All right. We thought we were going to be ready by today. We didn't quite get things buttoned down that we needed to. Have to cut a commercial. Got to do that. Some stuff. So, but we're gonna do that next Monday. Okay? All right, let's get this show cracking, man. We've got some breaking news here. It's been going on for the last 24 hours here in California. We've got very, very fast-moving wildfires up in San Francisco, north of San Francisco, and down here just south of Los Angeles. Just absolutely blazing across California right now, forcing evacuations, destroying homes, businesses. The biggest fires burned up in the Napa wine country, north of San Francisco, and another absolutely huge fire down here, south of Los Angeles and Anaheim. Here's what we know so far. One person has died in the fire up in Mendocino County. More than 100 people were being treated at Napa and Sonoma area hospitals for fire-related injuries or health issues, including burns, smoke inhalation, and shortness of breath. Over 1,500 structures, homes, commercial businesses have been destroyed, and 70,000 acres have burned so far in 8 counties north of San Francisco. Completely wide open and out of control. If you've ever been in that area, yes, a lot of vineyards, but around and inside and throughout all of those vineyards are homes. It's one of the beautiful, most beautiful communities and areas in the entire world. Lots of homes there, lots of families, and it's unbelievable. And so when we hit a number like this, 1,500 so far, okay, now this is the thing. Apparently, up to this point, it's 0% containment. It may have changed in the last hour or so up in San Francisco. I'm just going off of my latest reports. The latest 0% containment. All they are concerned about, just like Anaheim, I'm going to get to that in a second. All they are concerned about up there is saving lives, evacuating, saving lives. Anything else, they just don't have the resources for that. It's either that or fight the fire. So right now they're saving lives, and then we'll get to some type of containment. It's unbelievable what is going on up there right now. Let's just try to get to daybreak, and hopefully the marine layer and something will change overnight to chill this out up there, because we have the same thing going on right now in the Anaheim Hills here, south of Los Angeles. Now, where this is burning now, Anaheim Hills, again, populated, suburban, heavy populated houses, side by side, suburbia, packed, and this is just ripping through that community. To watch this, which I've been doing all day on the news, it's tragic to see this go down. It started at about 9:45 a.m. this morning, so before noon, in the middle of the day, and it has spread now to over 5,500 acres in the Anaheim Hills. Many, many, many homes destroyed. I was watching it on the news today with the helicopters and everything else, one house after another being destroyed. And again, just like the fire up in Napa right now, 0% containment. They're not concerned about trying to do anything. They do have the fire dropping, the planes and the helicopters, all of that going on. They're trying to save lives with this. These are houses and neighborhoods. You think about it, you don't know who's home. It's crazy. So they're just trying to get the evacuations done. It's unbelievable. Everything ignited last night and this morning, Sunday night, Monday morning, spread with alarming speed, because the last 24 hours here, 48 hours in Southern California, the extreme winds have moved in. Okay, and you see it everywhere. Dirt and dust is everywhere. The winds of all day today, all night, just blowing and whipping through. And we go through this every single year. Well, when a fire kicks off with this kind of hot, dry wind, this is what happens. And these fires literally explode. Now, right now, we've got the latest news conference. They're still evacuating. We're up to like 20, 30,000 people now that have been evacuated. Okay, so everybody, if you're listening to me right now and you're anywhere close to this, turn it off, pack up, go. Drive 10, 20 miles out of town, go to a Denny's and kick back. But don't get anywhere near this. Right now, I'm watching live on the screen right now. I'm watching this huge business burn down here in Anaheim. It's crazy. And it's in one of the most populated areas of Los Angeles. So there you go. Anaheim Hills, very close to Disneyland, Tustin. Reached up to Tustin today. Unbelievable to rip through these communities. So, all right, I will give all of the updates that I can throughout the show. I've got everything being monitored right now, but hopefully the night temperatures and the marine layers that roll in will help things chill out, because they did not chill out today. They exploded. All right, really quick, little public service announcement. UniWiki needs your help. They are in the process right now of creating their first podcast episodes for the Unity Project. So they need your help. So check this out. I know everybody wants to get involved, and now it's time to do just that. Get involved. They are looking for anyone who has an interest in general production assistance. They need to organize the work necessary to produce the podcasts that they are going to be doing. And they want to be able to have a team put together, volunteers. You're going to get something assigned to you in a project and everything that needs to get done. Okay? No experience is necessary. This is a community. It's just a willingness to work together and learn and create something for everyone. Okay? UniWiki needs your help. Now, all you have to do is just email Unity, that's UNITY, at modernmasters.org, or just go to uniwiki.org, UNIWIKI, uniwiki.org, and you can email through there. You can sign up and check things out, but be part of the team here. Okay, lots of work needs to be done, and it's totally cool, totally fun. Maybe you'll get yourself a little credit, too. Think about that. uniwiki.org. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have over 730 archive shows, custom apps, Apple, Android, all platforms, just $2 a month. Go to jimmychurchradio.com. You can sign up. Just click on the podcast banner. Or you can become an official Fader-Knots. Yeah. Go to our membership section on the site. You're going to get the bunker cam. You can even get commercial-free downloadable archives. You can even become a game changer and get all of the cool Fade to Black gear, shirts, hats. You get an email to me. You get an direct email to me regardless. And you know what? You can ask any Fader-Knot. Any Fader-Knot. There are thousands of you. Thousands. Ask anybody. Anybody that has written me, all of you, on that private email account has gotten written back. And if I haven't, prove it to me. Because, man, I spend a lot of my time just responding to you guys. It is so cool. You can do all of that over in our membership section. All right, let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Sharon Osbourne, the one that took a chance on Ozzy, is 65 years old. Director Guillermo del Toro, one of my favorites, is 53 years old. He directed Pan's Labyrinth, which is still to this day, that's a stunning movie. Pacific Rim, and I was wondering about Pacific Rim. I thought, cheap B movie. Pacific Rim was awesome. And then, of course, he did the Hellboy franchise. Amazing, amazing director. Great vision. Tony Shalhoub today is 64. And you know what? You know why he made the list. Fred Kwan in Galaxy Quest. Our big guy's birthday today, the one and only. Moment of silence, John Lennon. 1940 to 1980, tragically shot, killed, murdered in front of the Dakota in Manhattan at the age of 40. Certainly one of the most influential songwriters in the history of music. He released an album in 1980 called Double Fantasy. And that album ended up winning Grammy Award for Album of the Year. But the song, anytime I ever hear anything off of that album, it takes me right back to my senior year in high school, right there. And it had that effect on, and then he was murdered, right? That's the crazy thing. So when I hear those songs off of Double Fantasy, I don't think of that. I think of like Christmas, 1980, senior year in high school. That's what I think about. I really do. John Lennon, happy birthday. On this day in history, OTD, 1967, Che Guevara is executed the day after he was captured in Bolivia. He was captured on October 8th and then executed on October 9th. And then, of course, never got to get the residuals on all of those T-shirts that were bootlegged all around the world. I mentioned that a couple of years ago on the show, the Che Guevara T-shirts. Right? Somebody actually wrote me an email and said, "Hey, dude, Che Guevara is dead, man. He never made any money off of those T-shirts." I was like, "Oh, really? No kidding?" Thanks for that. Yeah, let me write that down. I'm going to take a picture of this email. I'm going to make this my my desktop. All right, Fader fact. This is for all of our friends down under. Fader fact. The average Australian cat eats more fish per year than the average Australian. And that is a Fader fact. Why is everybody sending me birthday wishes? My birthday is tomorrow. So what's going to happen tomorrow? I want my birthday wishes on my birthday. I don't want them the day before. My birthday is tomorrow, everybody. How did you guys even know this? Sharon Osbourne didn't like me. Just ask me why. I dare you. You had an American accent. That's why. All right. Today, very special guest, Mark McCandlish and Shane Seymore are here. We're going to be talking about the VCMD Propulsion System. This has been a lifelong project for Shane and his family. Mark McCandlish is part of this too as well, and we're going to make the worldwide broadcast debut and announce what this is tonight on the show. Tomorrow night, Anthony F. Sanchez is here. We're going to talk about interdimensional and parallel world contact with ET. Wednesday night, John D'Souza, FBI X-Man, is going to be here talking about his new book, Clear Hearers. And then Thursday night, of course, is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. All right. Now, several services right now. Love my River Moon coffee, Fade to Black blend. See, that's how many shows that we do. You become a creature of habit. And my creature of habitness right now is every day, I announce and we talk, we do our little thing, and then I go to my little break and to just let my mind go. And before I do that, I got to take a sip of coffee now. I cannot. Now I got to do it again. Fade to Black blend. Okay. All right. The United States government has got a bunch of government-funded radio stations and networks around the world, okay? And the most famous ones that we know about, Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty, looks like they're going to get shut down in Russia. That's right. The Russian Justice Ministry has just warned the broadcasters. That's right. Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty that they're going to get shut down, saying that the measure comes in response to Washington's recent moves against the Russian media, RT, in the United States. Russian authorities have warned the Washington-funded organization that its activity falls under Article 2 of the Russian federal law on NGOs, non-government organizations, which regards its operations as those of a foreign agent. Now, Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty, these types of broadcasts have been going on since World War II. It's been going on for a long, long time. All around the world, everybody's been doing it, and pretty much everybody has left the other guy alone. Okay, let your propaganda machine roll. Have you ever listened to Radio Free Europe? Have you ever heard it? Have you ever heard of Radio Liberty? Have you ever listened to any of the Armed Forces Network, AFN? Right? Have you listened to any? I have. I grew up with that stuff. But have you? Well, they're broadcasting right now somewhere, and you can find it. Now they have websites and everything else. But they're also broadcasting radio around the world. Propaganda. There's also Russian propaganda coming back this way, too, as well, in English and in Russian and other languages out there, okay? This is nothing new. Now, by law, in Moscow, right, might impose restrictions on activities of the broadcaster in Russia, RFE-RL reported today, citing a letter from the Russian Justice Ministry. Several services of the broadcaster, including its Russian language network, it's called Current Time Television. Now think about this, right? Russia Today, right? In English. Well, we have our own station over there running. Yes, we do, in Russian. It's called Current Time Television, run in cooperation with the Voice of America, as well as RFE-RL's Russian service, Radio Svoboda, might be subjected to certain restrictions. Now, they are saying now that Current Time, Radio Svoboda, and Idel Relay are journalistic organizations. That's what we are claiming. And we will trust that Russia will allow us to continue our work. That was what the network tried to say today. The letter from the Justice Ministry is, and I'm quoting here, a tit-for-tat measure for the oppression of the Russian media is receiving in the United States. Now, I had mentioned this last week on the show. Remember when I was talking about Flat Earth? Based on Russia's media law, restrictions might be imposed on correspondents working for media organizations from countries that put limitations on journalists working for Russian-registered media. Now, the Russian Foreign Ministry warned that Moscow was ready to restrict the activities of American media in Russia. The measures might come in response to Washington's attempts to limit the work of RT in the United States. Now, remember what I said last week about the Flat Earth, when I said that the flat earthers want us to believe that Russia and the United States are colluding together, right, to create fake images, round Earths instead of flat Earths, right? Satellite pictures, the ISS, that spacewalk last week that was put out by RT with a round Earth, the round Earth wasn't created. They just photographed it. But the flat earthers want you to believe that Russia created a round Earth from a flat Earth to fool you, and they're working with us. Well, now, as it turns out, you know what? It's a strange way to treat your friends. We are entering in a very, very dark area here. Think about this. Is RT on the same level as Radio Free Europe or Radio Liberty, which are propaganda arms of the United States? No question about that, right? There's no doubting this. But there's plenty of that coming out of Russia, out of China, right? Japan did it all through World War II. You remember that? So this has been going on for a long time. But this is what is so strange for me. The deep state globalists and those NGOs and this subversive propaganda that goes on, trying to steer the minds of the general public, they are now threatening the very free speech that and destroying it that they fought for. Now, I'm talking about this. If we throw RT out, right? If we start to do that, I don't care. If you don't like RT, don't listen to it. Nobody is getting influenced by RT. Nobody. All right? It's just a station. That's it. That's all it is. No more than Al Jazeera. But if and we start to get our stuff closed down, then the next guy's going to close somebody else down and start interrupting. The next thing you know, right? And this has been going on. They've let it go. They've left it out of the play. They've allowed that spy versus spy propaganda radio to be flying around the world uninterrupted for 70 years. And now this is going down? I don't get it. I don't care about RT. I don't care about anybody. I choose to listen to what I listen to. I don't listen to any North Korea propaganda. When I do, I laugh at it. Or any other country. It doesn't matter to me. And I think in general, it doesn't matter to anybody else either. But if this goes on, one guy penalizing this, and we start doing this against each other and shutting everything down, we are censoring ourselves, and we are entering in a whole new era. We don't need this. We do not. Okay? This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Listen to me. We don't censor. If you don't like something, don't watch it. Don't watch it. If it says Russia Today, RT, and you don't like the Russians, don't watch it. Watch it and laugh at it. Or whoever it is. Who cares? Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera wasn't ever going to succeed here. But you don't want to tell them no. Right? Because that's not what our principles are based on. Think about that. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back with our guests, Mark McCandlish and Shane Seymore. Stay right there.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We made the announcement today. Bearing Optics. I just put it up there on Twitter. Bearing Optics, our new sponsor here. Our newest sponsor here at Fade to Black. The links are right there. And very, very, very cool green chrome balls. Go find yours. Bearing Optics. The phone number is right there on the website. Alec Hoffman is your connection. He's a Fadernaut. He would love to hear from you. And there you go. It's extension 105. That's simple. Bearing Optics. The links are up to the website right there. Okay. All right. Mark McCandlish, Shane Seymore. Mark McCandlish is an internationally recognized artist. He's been on Fade to Black many times, also over on Coast to Coast with me. He specialized in aviation and conceptual art within the defense and aerospace industries for a better part of the last 30 years, serving the needs of many of the top American corporations in this regard. And, of course, there is the ARV, the Alien Reproduction Vehicle. We have discussed that many times on this show. Shane Seymore was raised in an engineering life from early on in an electrical motor rebuilding repair business family. Conceptualization, theorizing, and application were driven into their beings in an effort to make things work better than originally engineered. Shane's father, Darren, engineered and produced a practical and uniformly functional drive system for the automotive industry that PhDs in mechanical engineering could not produce. After the passing of his father, Shane resolved the conflicts with the drive, applying advanced science and mathematics to develop what is now called the VCMD. Gravity gives objects a means of transportation without floating when the motion is applied. The VCMD gives objects a means of transportation by providing omnidirectional motion in both static and dynamic drive modes through applied science. Tonight, we're going to reveal for the very first time the VCMD and discuss the technology. And I would like to welcome to Fade to Black for the first time, Shane Seymore. Shane, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, good evening. And before I bring Mark in, I'm going to do this first. Mark has already gone through this, but you get the first-time guest disclaimer, which is, it's just you and I, Shane, sitting on my couch having a conversation between friends. Where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, but we will end as friends. Are you ready to go?
Roger that.
All right. Roger that. Mark McCandlish, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Jimmy. Great to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back on, but you don't get the first-time guest disclaimer. You haven't had that a few times now. Do you miss it?
Oh, my heart's broken.
Yeah,
I got to tell you.
The good old days. Mark, before I'm going to start with you, actually.
Okay.
You've been talking with me about this. It's been going on now, I would venture to say, maybe even a couple of years. So here we are tonight. But with your background, not only with defense and military and aerospace and your knowledge of mechanics, airflow, flying, all of those things that you've been dealing with for forever, man, going back to when I was a kid, and I just made you feel old, I know. But your intelligence here, right? So when you met Shane, and I want to know how you met him, and you looked at the technology, I want to know what you thought. How did you meet Shane?
Well, it started out with some posts that were showing up on my Facebook page, and it was usually in conjunction with anything having to do with the alien reproduction vehicle and anti-gravity type subject matter. And it started out with these posts that showed this, looked like something from a crop circle. It was these sort of three circles in a triangular formation and some numbers and arrows and things. And I kept thinking, this is someone who has a UFO sighting they want to share with me or something. But it kind of reminded me of those little toys they have now. It's sort of like a little, I'm not even sure what they call it. It looks like three little circular objects with a bearing in the center, and the kids hold it in the middle, and they just spin the thing endlessly. Apparently, it's designed to kind of keep little kids occupied when there's nothing else to do. And it kind of reminded me of that, and I didn't quite know what to make of it. And so every once in a while, Shane would sort of drop in on the Facebook page and make some comments, and they were provocative enough that I finally decided to engage him in a conversation, find out what he was talking about. And at first, I honestly was quite skeptical, because I have to tell you, there is a history of the so-called mass driver or kinetic thrust type of invention. This kind of thing has been talked about and kicked around for probably several hundred years. And the biggest problem with these devices, most of them involve some kind of an aperture or armature that is rotating, and it has some kind of a heavy weight on it that has a fulcrum, and it swings outward at a certain time in the rotational cycle, supposedly to throw its weight in a particular direction and create a kind of thrust. And mostly these things were designed to create a kind of lift without wings. The problem was that because of, I guess it's Newton's third law, talking about for every reaction there's an equal and opposite reaction, or for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so the act of throwing this weight up was actually pushing the other part of the mechanism down. And so when these things actually started to operate in desktop mode, they'd basically just sit there on the tabletop jumping up and down very quickly, kind of like a jumping bean, and never really went anywhere. And so when Shane began to describe for me how his device worked, and I'll let him give you the details on how that happens, and he described how he had hooked this thing up to a buddy's pickup truck and had lifted the front end right off the ground. I really sat up and started to listen. And it's an absolutely fascinating story. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Well, we're going to get to that in a second. Shane, let me ask, is it okay if I post the crop circle images?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna post these up now for everybody to take a look at while we are talking tonight. We'll just kind of kick things off with these. The images stopped me in my tracks, by the way. I really was glued to those. So we'll get to those images in a second. Let's talk about you, Shane. Your background, your father, the company business, and what you guys were all about before we get to the VCMD.
All right. So basically, I grew up my entire life behind my dad, Darren Seymore, and I lived in a shop, basically. So every other weekend, I'd go down there, and for the weeks, I'd have to stay in the shop playing computer games or tearing stuff apart. And, of course, my families were pretty poverty-stricken at the time. So most of my toys were like electric motors or tearing apart fax machines or, building train sets and stuff like that. And so time went on, and I had Legos. He actually taught me with Legos. And that was my favorite thing. I had, big toolboxes full of Legos. And I didn't realize it at the time when I was so young what my father was actually doing behind the scenes. And he basically told me, you can use the booklet, the instructions one time. And then I want you to tear it down and memorize what you did. And then if you can do it the second time without looking through the book perfectly, without losing any parts, he'd get me the next size up, the next level up, because they had like an age level. And by the age of 6 or 7, we got one of those kits that was an entire printer. You had to build an entire printer. You could hook up to your computer, and it would print things. And then after that, it went on to the RCX microprocessor, the little robot. And it was the first one. It was called Mindstorms or Brainstorms. And you had to, hook up little electric motors to it, little sensors, and, build the blocks for the programming and stuff like that. Then I became uninterested with that because I pretty much did everything. So I went on to building go-karts and RC cars and stuff like that. And then I started fabricating my own stuff.
Yeah, keep going.
And anyways, that was only part of my family. And that was Darren Seymore. I was actually driven to the hospital in I think it was a 72 Dodge Cricket that was electric. It was just a DC motor hooked up to a manual transmission with a trunk full of batteries. And that's just, a little bit of my history. And the other side, my grandfather, which is Carl Hammers, he was a hot rod builder and welder. So I go basically from one shop to the other shop, and both were teaching me, how to use my hands, how to use tools, how to customize and fabricate and build and everything like that. Time went on, and I went through high school. And about age 12 to 13, I built my first 5.0 engine in my bedroom. And I didn't know the fundamentals of the engines or anything like that, what really went on. So I kind of pieced it all together and had the carburetor on it, hooked up to a milk jug full of gasoline and, just a single coil. And I accidentally started it at like 2 o'clock in the morning with my mom sleeping right in the other bedroom. And she wasn't too awfully happy about that, but
right.
That's just a little bit about my history.
Did your dad have a PhD, or was there anything physics related floating around the family?
No, my dad was pretty much all self-taught. He did go to college, and I don't remember what that was for. But his father, Howard Seymore, was a rocket scientist and founded the company. I'm not going to say the name of the company because it's not, I'm not at liberty to say it. But anyways, it's up there with, Tesla and stuff. But yeah, no, he didn't have any college training for that kind of stuff. He basically just had to teach himself everything. So, and then before he passed away, he was into microcontrollers and CNC machines and all this other stuff.
And how did he start to jump into this type of drive system? Was it because he was understanding, how to make things more efficient, or, where did the idea come from?
It basically started off, they used to just rewind, pool pump motors and, small motors. As a matter of fact, some of his gyro motors are in a satellite right now. They had a problem with gyroscopic precession, and he, pretty much fixed it because they'd spin so fast. Once they reached their maximum RPM, they would start to wobble around. They'd have to stop the motor and stuff like that. So he came up with something to repair that. But there's always little trinkets around from different companies. But where it really started was with golf carts, and they started doing a DC to AC power system. And that, AC electric motors are a lot more efficient than DC powered engines because it eliminates the brushes, it eliminates a lot of the heat, and you're also using higher wattage. So that went on. The shop changed locations, and they started building electric vehicles. And it got, more complex. So, and his best friend back in the day was named Alan, and he was an engineer at a company called AC Propulsion. And I think I sent you a link on Will the Real Tesla Please Stand Up?
Yes. And, I got that.
They went through all kinds of legal actions and stuff like that, and now it's actually Tesla Motors today. So that's pretty much, and during that time after that had already happened, my dad had passed away.
Now, when we look at, and I've checked out some of the information here, and it's all very exciting, but there's a lot of math and science involved. How did you get exposed to this type of, complicated math and pretty heavy science to understand this, fix the issues, and then take it to the next level?
I was always exposed through mathematics and engineering and through my father. So we are always dealing with mathematics all the time. You'd have to machine something at 10,000s, 20,000s, 5,000s, stuff like that. So I was already predisposed at mathematics. So all throughout my schooling career, I always had an A+ in auto shop, science, and math.
Now, I wanted to ask you really quick before we move on. You've got a lot of pictures of you with some pretty crazy cars. Who owns those?
The crazy cars. You mean like the Thunderbirds and the old hot rods?
Yeah, exactly. And blowers through the hood and stuff like that.
Those are all mine. My most valued car is actually a 93 Thunderbird that I started prototyping my own parts on. And, I converted from an LX to an SC, 5-speed. I got into wiring. I got into, the dynamics of having to change something into another car that wasn't supposed to be there. And, a lot of failed attempts on, wiring and stuff like that. Finally got down to a science, and I can do it, at the back of my hand. But this one car I got when I was in high school, it was my first car. And right now it has around 805,000 plus miles on it. And that's on the body. The motor I just took out had 500,000 miles on it because I used, different fundamentals and different metals, forged internals, stuff like that. But the real kicker is because it's an older car, you can actually manipulate the fuel injection because it's just an OBD1 car. It's basically just a classic style engine with fuel injection dropped on top.
That's it.
So you don't have all those other codes and stuff. But the interesting part is I can actually put potentiometers on it to modify the signals coming out of the mass airflow sensor, the coolant sensor. You can modify those to drop their voltage or increase their voltage to change the fuel parameters, the fuel curves in it. So I could either have 385 horsepower at like 10 miles per gallon, or I can dial everything else the other direction and get 42. Me and my buddy, Tim, back in the day, we went across the country. I just put the motor together. The next day we took off for, I think it was Kentucky, Whitley, Kentucky, which is exactly 2,400 miles away. And we made it in 24 hours on only 4 tanks of gas, all the way across the country.
So it's 100 miles an hour.
Pretty much the whole way there.
Yeah, pretty cool. What raised my eyebrows? You know, I had 2 Thunderbirds myself. I had a 95 and a 97, both V8s, and both were hopped up pretty good too as well. The 97, that was lowered, the body kits on it, and that was a smoking car. That thing, I just really enjoyed them. Okay, so anyway, that, like I said, it caught my eye. Very cool projects that are going on, but also you understand what it takes to build a motor, to stay efficient, also metals, math, and basic mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
I get it. So now, Mark, when you started to look at the technology and start your relationship with Shane, what went through your mind? Is this a technology that you think could be used? I mean, in the applications that we're referring to.
Oh my gosh, Jimmy, this particular device, and I will say this with the qualifier that this is no exaggeration. This device has the potential for completely changing transportation forever. Imagine, for example, an airplane, a commercial airline with no jet engines under the wings. It probably wouldn't even need the wings, except that you could improve the efficiency of an aircraft as a mode of transportation by keeping the wings.
Right.
And using the VCMD as your source of propulsive force to move the vehicle through the air. You can the same device, build a smaller version, because some of the devices that Shane has worked on have a lift to weight ratio that's something in excess of 500 times the weight of the device itself. And there are certain limitations to the actual size of the device because of the amount of centrifugal force involved the larger they get. So there are limitations. So what you do is you wind up ganging a number of the devices together to produce a larger force. But, basically you could have these things sitting in an airplane. If the wing breaks off with the engines and everything, you can turn this thing on and it will compensate for the loss of the lost wing, the lost lift, the lost thrust from the engines that are missing now. Basically get an aircraft that's been severely damaged back to an airport where it can land safely. So just that particular application alone has tremendous commercial application and military applications at all. The device is set up in such a way that you eliminate all of the noise and pollution associated with the internal combustion engine. It's driven electrically, although it could be driven by an internal combustion engine if need be. But in terms of military applications, you've got an object, a device that would allow very large, heavy vehicles to operate almost completely silently because all of the thrust is produced inside the vehicle. There's no exhaust. I mean, like some of these huge trucks, the M1, A1 Abrams tank, of course, is driven by a turbine engine. But if you have some of the older model tanks, like the A60 or the M60, I think it is, you can eliminate the diesel engine. You can use something like this to move them around. You can use this for submarines, for ships. Imagine a ship capable of lifting right out of the water and flying away. That's the kind of stuff that you can do with this technology, if you have enough of them, if you have enough combined thrust. So it's very exciting. I mean, even things like how would you put it? Imagine a large artillery piece that when it fires, there's a tremendous amount of recoil. You've probably seen footage of the big guns that were on the USS New Jersey. When those 16-inchers fire, there's a massive set of recoil springs that compensate for the kickback when that artillery round fires out of those cannons. And you could set up a device like this so that it would compensate and basically counteract the kickback, the recoil of even a large artillery piece, which of course helps in keeping it accurate in terms of placing the the round on target, this kind of thing. But there's so many different things that you could do. I mean, imagine flying around like Superman. Strap a couple of these things to your back, even a small one near your center of gravity, say right below the solar plexus on your back, and fly around like Superman by simply leaning or cupping your hands and steering yourself by the airflow as it goes around your body. I mean, it's a very exciting prospect, all the things that you can think of that this thing can do.
Now, before we head to the break, now we've got a great setup, okay? We've got the end here. We know it can do all of these wonderful things, and it's amazing, and it shouldn't be real, but it is. So now we're going to go backwards. Before the break here, let's do a quick setup. Shane, what does VCMD stand for?
It stands for Variable Centrifugal Mass Drive.
Say that again.
Variable Centrifugal Mass Drive.
Now, why? Explain each component, because that's exactly what it is, and it kind of makes sense. But now let's take it to the next level. The VCMD. What does it look like, and how much energy is going in versus energy going out?
All right. Basically, well, there's going to be some parts that I'm not going to be able to explain because they're still, going through patenting and stuff like that. So, and they're very, secretive. That's what makes it work. But yeah, it looks kind of like a triangle. We call it a tricoid. And the thing is about it, like the first show that I heard, no, it does not produce more energy than it's put in. It's simply a fancy torque converter. You're basically taking whatever energy you're putting in and converting it to a different type of energy. You can always, like I always say, you can't ever get rid of energy. You can always just transform it. So what it does is it takes that spinning force and converts that exact power. And this is the interesting part. My first prototype actually flew apart because I was, fiddling with it and lifted the truck and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this thing will really do. And I cranked up the RPM on this little gas-powered motor that was actually doing the spinning. It's like a little Briggs & Stratton. But because of my lack of ability to build it correctly, my welds broke and threw one of the booms off into the back field. And that was pretty much the end of it. And what it is that makes it so dynamic and important is its ability to practically take whatever you're putting in and perfectly transmit it into a lifting force, almost 1-to-1. There is a little bit of heat. We have other devices that are behind that allow the thing to cool down. And I have a couple of friends that are engineers and stuff like that, so we've engineered this already. And the smaller device, which is only about 11 inches in radius, is calculated to lift about 3.5 tons so far with just the materials that we have at hand. So
wait. Okay, let's pump the brakes right there on the truck. Right? Okay. Let's pump the brakes right there. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we need to go and just address and digest what you just said. You're saying that the device, which is 11 inches right now, could actually lift, what did you say, 3.5 tons?
Yeah.
There you go. I need explanations. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Exciting show tonight. Mark McCandlish and Shane Seymore. The VCMD. For the first time, it's being discussed in public. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back.
Ray Sobs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church. Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go back, Lee Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product. What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guests tonight, Mark McCandlish and Shane Seymore. We're talking about the VCMD, and let me say this right now. The man is listening. Never give up. Never surrender. All right, guys. Now, right before the break, let's do a little recap here. Let's set this back up again. And always remember, this show... whenever things get heated, whenever it gets to that moment, something happens. Very interesting timing on that, but it did, and we are back. Okay, we were talking about one of the first versions of the system, Shane, that you had built, and you said that it was about 11 inches, and it's a triangle, right? But this could lift 3.5 tons?
Yes, that would be correct.
Now, how heavy is the system at that point? I mean, what is its true weight?
The first device weighed almost 1,000 pounds because I was using the differential out of the car and the rear suspension, the gas-powered motor, and the drive shaft, and all this other stuff, and everything was very big and bulky. But the newer device that we have that's ready to be placed orders is about 500 pounds to 600 pounds.
A total weight.
Total weight.
But you're saying that it's 11 inches. So, again, for the audience, describe the device at this point.
Basically, the device itself is only weighs probably about 50 pounds. Or so, because it has a lot of other stuff that's on its plate. You know, there's electric motors and there's a whole battery of other stuff. That's why the whole thing weighs about 500 to 600 pounds. But the device, the VCMD part of it itself, actually isn't that heavy.
Now, is there a way to miniaturize the whole system? I mean, what weighs 500 pounds?
Well, the whole device itself, the whole thing, all the electric motors, all the other fundamentals that cause the lift, and the VCMD itself, plus the tanks and stuff like that.
Now,
that's what weighs the most.
Now, okay, so what is allowing this, and speak freely here, what is allowing this kind of lift? Something is going on. So what is it that is allowing it? Because there are no fans, there's no blades, there isn't anything conventional or mechanical that we would, a turbofan jet engine and so forth. Nothing of that is in play here. So what is allowing for this lift?
I'll just keep a lot of the parts inside of it confidential, but it's basically what it is it's a fluid inside of it, and you can manipulate that fluid a certain direction, okay, different kinds of fluids and stuff like that. So basically, if you can think, let's say, for example, if you were to put a brick in a tire on your car and drive down the freeway, what happens? It jumps up and down, and at a certain speed, you actually have the potential and the mass generation to actually lift that edge of the truck, okay? But what's happening is that brick is disappearing when it comes down and reappearing as it goes back up, causing a linear effect.
Continue. I'm trying to absorb this, and so is the audience. So, is
kind of like throwing your weight around?
That's kind of what I'm picturing here, and so the forces of you have mass, you have gravity, but something is getting interference.
Yes, I think Mark would probably be better off at explaining this because he knows a little bit more about.
Let me see if I can do this without giving away any of the trade secrets, so to speak, because that's really something we have to kind of keep a lid on until the patents are awarded and so forth. But the idea is that you have a spinning device that is taking a fluid mass, and that fluid is being manipulated while the spinning is occurring. And it's doing this manipulation in such a way that the weight of that fluid is being thrown out to the edge of this spinning device at a high RPM. It's being brought back into the center without any of the counteracting force that you would see in a mechanical version of this same kind of device, which hundreds and hundreds of inventions have attempted to do this, and none of them have been able to accomplish it successfully. But because this system uses fluids rather than a mechanical weight that pivots or has a fulcrum of some kind, or is actually creating kind of a counteracting force. The big problem with the systems that have been designed before are that when you have something spinning and you have this centrifugal force, just like taking a weight and tying it to a string and then spinning it around over your head, you can get the thing to go around in a circle that is pretty much horizontal as long as you spin it around and it doesn't hit anything. This device uses the same kind of idea of centrifugal force. The spinning that's essentially using the accelerated mass of a fluid, and it's throwing it out to the edge of the device while it's spinning. And then as the rotation continues, that mass is being brought back into the very center again, where there's no thrust in any direction at all, and then returning it out to the perimeter again as it begins to swing in a particular direction. So if you've chosen that the direction of thrust will be straight up, then you'll achieve lift. If you have the direction of thrust going forward and it's inside a vehicle that rolls, then of course the vehicle will begin rolling down the highway, but it won't make any noise, not like you would expect with an internal combustion engine or a turbine or a steam engine. None of the things that you would expect that would be very noisy and polluting are involved in this, and yet you can still achieve the motion by really doing nothing more than just throwing the weight of this fluid around inside this rotor that has 3 lobes and is able to do this repetitively. In other words, in a high frequency, repetitive manner, so that you have a continuous flow of this kinetic energy in whatever chosen direction you pick. And say, for example, this is why I was saying before, if you strap one of these things onto your back, and of course we figure that there can be lightweight versions of all of the other accessory drive systems that are involved in manipulating and allowing the components within the system to do their jobs. So if you have the kind of power to weight ratio that Shane described earlier, something weighing 500 pounds being able to lift almost 7,000 pounds, of course a smaller device, something maybe as small as 6 inches in radius, would easily be able to lift a man right off the ground, and you could fly around just like Superman. So this is a basic description of the system. I'd love to be able to tell you more about the specific components, but those are all sort of critical to the patents that are being applied for and this kind of thing.
Okay, well, no, that's fine. I'll get as much out of you as I can, but you can tell me to shut up at any point. But now I have some basic questions here. We all just coughed at the same time. That was kind of weird, and we're hundreds of miles apart. If this device, the direction is caused by the tilt. Am I understanding you? If you need to go forward, are you physically turning it to go in a direction?
Yes. Yeah. If you want to go forward, the whole device will be in a horizontal fashion.
That's what I'm saying.
And what's kind of nice about that, yeah.
Right. So
what's kind of nice about that is you can actually put two of them on a vehicle, and two medium-sized ones, and it'll not only push the car forward, but if you were to go around a corner, you don't have to rely on the traction of the tires. You can actually index them into a manner to where they point towards the inside of the curve, thus dragging the car along with it.
Now, how would you stop and go backwards?
You reverse the polarity on the device.
Right, and so it would have to re-spin?
No, it stays spinning. It's actually in an always constant spinning manner.
Right.
It just depends on what you do with the injection system that causes you to either be forced forward or you change the polarity and it draws you back. This brought up a lot of questions with myself, so I like to go through and think about everything. Let's say, and what's kind of interesting too is this falls under constant velocity. And it's not something that's really all that known out there because, rockets, they burn for 20 minutes and then you're in a coasting manner. Ion drives, they're really weak and use, tons of power.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's the next, greatest, newest thing. But what happens when you get too far away from the sun? You start losing power and it takes longer to charge and everything else like that. But what's interesting is the calculations that you can actually find online. Under constant velocity of 1g, which is very important in my device, you can actually give 1g acceleration throughout the entire trip between Earth and Mars, okay? And what that will allow at 1g acceleration throughout the constants of a halfway turning point, because you have to turn it around halfway and start braking.
Right.
The maximum speed, I believe, was like 328,000 miles per hour.
Half the speed of light? Wow. Oh, no, not half. No, not that.
Missing a couple of zeros there.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, can I ask a question? What is the time interval when you say that it's 1G of force applied? Is that per second, or is that per hour? Or?
Yeah, he said per hour. I was thinking per second, the speed of
light. Per second.
Right.
That's what, yeah. The speed of gravity is 9.8 meters per second. And then you compound that over time.
Okay, I got you. I'm now, but this is what. Let's get to some nuts and bolts stuff here before we get to the break. This is nearly on the level of being called magic. Now, if you know what I'm saying, right? That's the way the patent office is going to look at this type of device. So how are you going to convince the patent office about this through drawings?
Well, the each individual part of it is being patented in sections. Kind of like a top secret, like rocket builder. They build a part, they patent that part, they send that part, and then they do the next thing, and that comes from a different source to a different source, and they build it in a different location. It's kind
of like compartmentalization.
Right. So you're not telling them that you've got some type of, anti-gravity technology.
No.
Interesting.
And truthfully, though, it's not really anti-gravity in the traditional sense. It's not like you're using electromagnetic fields or electrostatic fields like the B-field-Brown effect or anything.
Right.
Really, it's just a purely mechanical type of device.
Right.
It's using a different type of mass to move the weight, so to speak, from one place to another in the rotating component of the system. I think the only real drawback, and it actually can be an advantage under certain circumstances, is that the fluid that's being moved around is moving around so fast that it creates a tremendous amount of heat.
Right.
And that heat can actually be used as a secondary power source. And I'd actually visualized an idea where we could capture some of that excess heat and put it back into the system to improve the efficiency of the overall device. So there are things that we're looking at now that take you into second and third generation versions of the device that I think will be very exciting. But I mean, one of the big problems you have in space travel, for example, like Shane was mentioning earlier, is that over long distances, especially when you're out in space away from the sun, is that things get very, very cold. And so here you have a device that can actually help to keep your spacecraft warm as it's moving you through space.
Well, what's the difference? So will it operate the same in a vacuum in space as it does in our atmosphere?
Even better. One of the things about gravity is because it lifts so much, because of the conversion of power, you have things like gravity and air, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, you could put that on a submarine. Well, the bad thing about, water is it's a very heavy medium. Okay, and my first modeling and mathematics were starting off by using a power source like a nuclear reactor, a small one, like what's on a nuclear sub. And I was getting some really weird numbers because a submarine weighs, 46,000 tons. Plus, you have something called hull speed. The hull speed of a craft in the water has a speed limit. If you can move something, let's say squarish or even dart-like, through the water at, let's say, 15 knots, 20 knots, and you have a 100-horsepower motor. But if you reach the hull speed, it doesn't matter if you have 500, 1,000, 1,500 horsepower, it will simply not go any faster. You might get 1 knot, faster, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But
part of the reason for that is that liquids are not compressible. See, that's the difference between an atmosphere that you're traveling through and a liquid environment like the ocean, is that liquids are not compressible. And so the energy transfer that occurs between the hull of the vehicle and the amount of power that you put into driving it reaches sort of a plateau, if you will, in terms of you being able to move through the medium. I mean, short of, metric engineering and zero-point energy and those kinds of things, you're really limited by exactly what Shane is talking about right there.
Well, and we're going to hit a break here in just a second, so I'll give you an easy question to answer, which is this. When this thing gets up to spinning, it stays at that constant speed, right? You're not adjusting its RPM. It's just doing its output, and then you take its output how much you need from it, right? Am I understanding?
Kind of, sort of. That's why it's called variable, because the size is variable, the RPM is variable.
Oh, it is
and
variable.
And the mass is variable.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, that part I didn't understand. So then, if you didn't need as much power, then the RPM on this actually decreases.
Yes.
Now I'm
Jimmy, you remember that scene from the Iron Man movie where he's first trying out a new propulsion system on his boots?
Yes.
And he cranks it up to 15% and he slams into the wall like some kind of a cartoon.
Right.
And then he says, I better dial it back to about 1%. Well, that's kind of what you want to be able to do if you're going to fly around with something like this. You don't want to go full power right off the ground. You want to, bring it on gradually so that you can make a graceful liftoff. And control where you're going. So that's one of the reasons why having a variability built into the system is so advantageous.
Okay, let's take a break.
It's funny.
Yeah, let's take a break right here, and then we'll come back and we'll pick things up right where we are. I need to get, I'm trying to digest this, and it's totally exciting, and I'm starting to wrap my head around it. And we're going to pick up more with Shane and Mark McCandlish Shane Seymore, Mark McCandlish, and the VCMD right after this. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hi, I'm Matt Ray for U.S. Gold Bureau. I cover the market daily. No matter how strong it gets or what long-term predictions say, you can count on one thing as certain. There will be another crash. It will affect your assets. And when it happens, wouldn't you rather be 2 weeks or even 2 months ahead of the curve? Well, Wall Street insiders have been quietly converting their assets into gold for the last few years. Now it's your turn. Buying gold and silver is easier than buying stocks with the U.S. Gold Bureau's Investor Guide. It's free, and you learn how to buy precious metals in or out of an IRA or 401k retirement plan. Your investment shipped directly to your home and is 100% insured and guaranteed. You control your investments and shelter them against the stock market, politics, and unknown threats. Act while your dollar is still worth something. Call U.S. Gold Bureau, 800-885-GOLD. U.S. Gold Bureau, 800-885-GOLD, 800-885-GOLD. Call today.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Truly bespoke radio for the masses. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Our guests tonight, Mark McCandlish and Shane Seymore. We're talking about the VCMD. And before we continue, the obvious is this.
any time a device like this that comes along that is a game changer, somebody dies, somebody goes broke, somebody disappears, and the technology never surfaces. Shane, are you ready for this?
I don't know about that. But yeah. The legacy will live on, right?
Well, I mean, you know, Mark will tell you there's no better mentor when it comes to jumping into the dark world than Mark McCandlish, and he can tell you that this is a very bizarre place that you're finding yourself, and things happen. I mean, things just happen. What are you doing? What, you know, how secure is the technology? Do you know the man's going to come and try to find you? Has he found you? You know, what's going on with all of this?
Well, the man has already found me once. I had what was called a HERF generator in my backyard, and it was a large scale being bounced off of a one of those. I think it was a 5-foot wide satellite dish. And I was pumping so much power through it, I could actually make the clouds move a little bit and blow holes through them. And all of a sudden, within about a day, the Men in Black showed up and told me to turn it off and dismantle it. They weren't really mean or rude or anything. They just said, "Don't do that. You're screwing with, airplanes, navigation systems and stuff." I was like, "Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't think it would go that far." They're like, "Oh, we could see you from space."
Really?
So, yeah. So, but anyways, device is about, I don't know, probably 50 to 60% secure because there are certain attributes about it that I'm not at liberty to give up. It's the main fundamentals that make it work. And it's very hard where I'm at, being able to pitch it to a company or a investor or a backer without giving up all the eggs.
Right.
But yet, these individual parts are what make it happen. So without disclosing those, it kind of puts you between a rock and a hard place.
Can you demonstrate this like right now? If I came out to your lab, can you fire this up for me?
No, the first one was destroyed, and we're already on to the Mark 6 prototype, and it's so expensive we don't have one yet.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So that was my next question. Mark, have you seen this run yet?
No, I haven't seen it run either, but I've talked to other eyewitnesses who did, in fact, one of them was a kid whose truck was lifted off the ground. And he was astonished, to put it mildly. I have every confidence that it will work. We've actually spoken recently to someone who seems to be a very serious investor, who's actually talked about diverting funds from another big project to this one because he was so impressed by the presentation that we made. So I have every confidence that it won't be too long before we have a prototype in the works for this, which is actually the number 6 version of the prototype. I think the original one that Shane had built only had 2 lobes. That was the one that he lifted the F-250 truck front end off the ground with.
Yeah.
But this one has 3 lobes, and so its efficiency, its balancing, I guess you would say, is probably better and more effective at directing the energy that is creating the lift or the thrust, as the case may be. And so I have a high level of confidence that it shouldn't be too long before we have something that is working, and of course you'll be one of the first people we call up to come take a look while we run it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about that side of it. I want to see it myself. Okay, now let's talk about energy in versus energy out. Where's the efficiency there?
Basically what it is it's, to put it in a simpler term, it's kind of like, let's say a winch on a truck. It's down geared and everything else like that, but it has enough power to lift itself plus, 1,000 pounds with just a shaft on a cable, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the same efficiency. It's a one-to-one internal drive that's just taking energy and converting it from one direction to another. I'm basically using the rotation of the device. It already spins, and you start adding the fluid to it, lightly, hopefully, and like the last time, and it starts to lift, and then you can hold it there. And it's very, like me and Mark have talked before, and me and my team have talked, as well as a professor that I know. It's very three-dimensional. You have to really have a three-dimensional way of thinking about it, because if you miss one little part, you won't understand how it does that. So it's kind of, I don't know.
The argument. Well, I'll let you finish, Mark. But
let me just interject. Imagine that you have a device that's capable of creating tons of force worth of lift. Now, that by itself is a pretty tall order. But imagine that you had a mechanical device like a winch that was suspended from a framework and a bunch of I-beams above, say, a pickup truck that you were going to lift off the ground, and you had to be able to drive the mechanism that rolls the cable up onto a spool and lifts that truck off the ground to produce the lifting effect that's created by the winch. The bearings that turn that shaft are going to have to be able to support the 4,500 or 5,000 pounds of that entire pickup truck so that they don't break. Well, that's exactly what we're finding with the VCMD, is that if you're going to be able to lift something that weighs that much, the bearings on the rotor have to be able to support that kind of weight. And so the bearings on this thing are very robust. It's one of the interesting. I mean, you would never imagine that a device that has an 11-inch radius spinning at 2,500 RPM could lift something weighing 7,000 pounds off the ground, but it can. But the bearings, of course, that are tied to the rest of the mount have to be able to support that kind of weight as well. So it's purely mechanical, but it's a completely new way of looking at the application of force and getting it to provide lift.
Well, and also whatever is making contact with whatever you're trying to move, whatever it's 10 tons, that has to be able to not bend, right? So that's got to be got to be physically sound too as well. It's not, that part isn't magic. You still have to support the weight of what you are picking up.
That's right. And so basically you're talking about a platform that this device is attached to, and then all of the components in the drive system that actually get it to work, to get the rotor to spin. These are all things that have to be designed or engineered with enough material in the structure that they can support the work that this device is capable of doing. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's not rocket science in the traditional sense, but it still involves some basic elements of mechanical engineering.
Could there be a system put together? This is what I'm envisioning here. Shane, I'll throw this over to you. What if there were a bunch of 2-inch, 1-inch versions of this, and you had one on each arm, one on each leg, one on your back? Could you know what I mean? Is that something that is possible?
Like me and my team have found out through simulations. I have a simulation program, which is actually, I kind of like to mess around with it. And there's some funny things that happen when you start getting into the physics of stuff that's, either oversized, undersized, or overpowered. And, but yes, a 1-inch device, because it's very fluid dependent, the device itself isn't actually creating force, it's the fluid itself.
Right.
That's causing the purposeful disbalance in the machine. And there is a power curve, like everything else. My dad used to say there's no free lunch in this universe. And there's something like a drone. A 1-inch would probably work. But in order to lift a human being, let's say a human is about 200 pounds, it would have to be about 2 inches or 3 inches in diameter and have about 2 or 3 of them, because it only lift about 40 to 50 pounds, maybe, if that, at like super high RPM, like 10,000 RPM. Because the higher the RPM, the more force is created. But there is a power curve that you just simply can't get away. At least I can't.
Now,
so,
is the fluid internal, Are there external tanks, or is the fluid part of the assembly, the triangle?
There's external tanks. That's part of why it does what it does, is you're actually removing the fluid into a different subsystem. So it's very dynamic that way too, but yes.
So you would have to, if I'm picturing the Rocket Man, right? Some type of backpack. So you would actually have tanks?
Yeah, it comes with tanks and stuff, because you have to be able to relieve the rotor of its mass.
Right.
And remember, of course, the bigger the system, the bigger the tanks, and so on. It's all proportional.
But you're not burning the liquid. The liquid, or it's just being moved around.
Right, correct. There's actually another guy that tried. He got wind of my device, and he tried it himself. And what he's doing is he's picking up the fluid and spinning it in a centrifuge, and then letting it go at a certain time and slamming it against the wall. It works, but not very good. It's very slow. So mine's all internal.
Yeah, so
his device moves something like an inch every half hour, whereas Shane's is capable of going to Mars in about 24 hours.
Right, and so, yeah, totally. So, but you're not burning up the liquid, is what I'm saying. You're not, that is just being replenished. It's there for the circulation.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That'd be correct.
Okay, so the only thing that you need for this is electricity.
Yep.
And so the electricity could also, would there be enough generated through solar power?
I've run into simulations on that too. It wouldn't be feasible. I'm more tuned to like a nuclear reactor or some other. I have a buddy there's a whole bunch of other devices that are probably going to collaborate with mine, and I can't disclose what that is. But, solar power would, of course, be all over the outside of my ship or something for emergency power, backup power, anything like that.
Well, I'm picturing vehicles, the automotive industry, too, as well.
Oh, for sure.
Something here on terra firma. Out there in space, anything could be used for this, too, as well. But I'm just thinking it could nearly be a self-contained system.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine with the power to the weight of thrust ratio that this device has, literally, a 500-pound device being able to lift something 7,000 pounds, you could probably drive something like that on a small internal combustion engine, probably something a little bit larger than a lawnmower engine, or something that has a lot of little tiny pistons, maybe a few of them, 4 or 5 of them, that would drive this thing, but would give you enough thrust, so to speak, that you could roll the car down the road and turn and everything else. So it's I think that this is an entirely new way of looking at transportation and using force to get you from one place to another very effectively,
as opposed to turning tires.
Well, I mean, you're still going to have tires under a typical car.
No, I mean,
it's not like we're...
No, I'm talking about mechanically with a drivetrain.
Oh, right, exactly. You're right.
And how long would... Okay, like Tesla or General Motors or Toyota, any one of these manufacturers, would they... I mean, does this threaten their very existence? Would they have to... You know what I mean? Would they come a-calling... just to shut you down to keep their systems in play?
Well, I don't personally think that that's an issue at this point because as far as those parties are concerned, this is not a proven technology. I think that once it does become a proven technology, once its effectiveness at doing what it does best is known, that it might be perceived as a threat. Probably more to the manufacturers of internal combustion engines than anything, but even this system itself could be run with an internal combustion engine in the right application. The nice thing about this thing is that if you put it in a vehicle not necessarily an aircraft, but a vehicle that's capable of, transitioning from a pressurized cabin to a cabin that's able to operate out in the vacuum of space. You could literally go from the ground out to space, no rocket motors or anything, without ever slowing down, simply because this thing creates its own thrust and it continues on up and beyond, the so-called escape velocity. It just keeps going. So you've kind of eliminated all of the hazards and the other problems that you find with the archaic rocket engines and things of that nature. I think the defense applications alone are mind-boggling.
See, because even with like an ion drive or any of these other exotic systems that NASA is proposing, or even science fiction for that matter, you still need fuel. In this case, the fuel, what is needed is electricity, so you need to generate that. And the obvious answer is, like Shane is saying, is nuclear power, because at that point, you could go for thousands of years in space in one direction and not have to worry about refueling the ship with massive amounts of something.
Yes, that's true. Or in the alternative, you could use like a what do they call those? It's a fuel cell, a hydrogen fuel cell, where you're using the combination of hydrogen and oxygen to create electricity, but the byproduct, of course, is potable water. And then the water can be broken down again into its components of hydrogen and oxygen. So you can recycle the components in the system, keep using them over and over again, so you don't necessarily have to keep refueling. There are ways that you can accomplish that.
I often thought that about hydrogen fuel, the fuel cell cars, that they're expelling it. One of the attributes, right? Well, look, man, you can go put your mouth over the exhaust pipe. It's just vapor. Right? Mm-hmm. So what are you doing then expelling it from the car? Why aren't you capturing that and then recycling it back into hydrogen, and then you have a perpetual vehicle?
That's right.
Because it takes power.
And most of those systems where you're talking about, in fact, there was a fellow, Stanley Meyer, who'd actually developed a system that would split the water molecule, take the hydrogen, and then use the oxygen that came from the water molecule to ignite and to burn the hydrogen in an internal combustion engine. And it basically ran on water. It was a water-powered car. He's one example of somebody who did pose a threat to the powers that be, and they poisoned that guy and killed him.
Yep, they did.
But you're absolutely right, Jimmy. It is possible to take something like that kind of a power production system, and recycle the waste product, which is the water vapor, put it right back in the system. And now most of the systems where you have electrolysis occurring, you have some kind of electrolyte in the solution that allows the electricity to split the water molecule. So by bringing the water back from the exhaust part of the system and putting it back into the initial reservoir, you basically put all of those the chemicals and the electrolyte, you put that back into solution again, and you're still in business. It's just a matter of recapturing some of the resources that would be spent. So that is the kind of thing that you could use to drive the VCMD.
Shane?
Yeah, there's always a problem with taking, and hydrogen-powered cars are fine and all because the water is already created when it goes into its tank. And then it uses power, a lot of energy. Actually, this is the reason why they're not running around everywhere, is it uses too much power for what they get out of it. If you actually look at the science behind it, it's very inefficient, even though it has no exhaust, but that's the price you pay. Like I said before, my dad always told me there's no free lunches in this universe. So basically, whatever power it took to, split those atoms and those particles to make that energy output, now you're using twice as much energy to try to use the same exact formula to put it back into water.
Well, I think the reason why the fuel cell car didn't succeed, and I can tell you right now, there's no distribution system in place for hydrogen.
Yeah,
okay,
right. Well, that was the problem with what Arnold Schwarzenegger was trying to do a few years ago. He wanted to bring hydrogen to California as a new fuel source, and it probably would have been more effective than having recharging stations all over the place like they're proposing with the Tesla car and so forth. But that was the thing that was unique about the Stanley Meyer design, was that he had found a resonant frequency for the water molecule. I think it was something like 3,500 megahertz that would very effectively split the water molecule at a much lower power rating or power level than you would ordinarily expect to pump into a solution of water with an electrolyte to get the oxygen and the hydrogen to split apart on the electrodes.
Well, and again, if the big petro dollar corporations could effectively distribute hydrogen, right, and get that distribution system in place across the country, but there is no place to fuel up, the hydrogen cars, the fuel cell cars. That's the problem. And if you run out, what do? That thing's got to go on the back of a trailer, right?
Yeah.
It goes on the back of a tow truck. There's nothing you can do with the vehicle at that point. The idea behind the fuel cell, the way that it works, running the hydrogen across, plates that chemically react with the hydrogen and create electricity that turns around, runs the electric motors. That's a great idea. But you still have to get the hydrogen from somewhere, and you have to get it into a distribution network. And that's the problem. You would have to redo the entire country to do that. And so you couldn't drive a hydrogen fuel cell car from here to New York. You couldn't do it. You could barely drive it across town. So that's the problem there. Now let's get back to this though. How could directly? I mean, NASA and space flight is one thing, and interstellar travel. Okay, I get that application, but the real world applications here with airplanes and tractor trailers and cars. How quick does this accelerate? I mean, is it pleasing to the senses, or does this ramp up and it's slow?
Actually, this is what I was saying before about my simulation program. Is I can manipulate, the force output. I do my mathematics on the outside and see how much it's going to generate. Then I put 4 of them on top of a truck or a car, and I turn them all the way up to high power. And it was kind of funny because my little character was basically squeezed and demolecularized through the seat. So yes, it provides quite a bit of power. Because, and I was going to touch on this earlier, even electric cars have a gear train and a lot of heat and everything else like that, and you lose a lot of your power through that drivetrain and what you call rolling resistance. The VCMD is completely vectored off. It doesn't really, it's kind of hard to explain because it exists, but it doesn't really exist as far as it being connected to any kind of
drivetrain
resistance.
Right.
Yeah. So you turn it on, and it literally moves the body of the car. You see, the body of the car is now the accelerator. So, and also touching on the power supply, I'd like to go along with nuclear because there's one thing that's very abundant in space. That's water, ice, and nuclear isotopes on asteroids. So, because you can actually launch something, as big as a frigate or a sub or something like that, you can actually bring along your own mining equipment. If you start running out or, you need more supplies, you can just land on something and drill it, not factorize it. What do you call it when you turn something into something else?
Well, yeah.
But anyways,
you can do that, and that's if you're going to spend tens of thousands of years in space on one ship with one drive. I get that, but you would you might outlive the technology wouldn't last that long. You would be onto a new ship at that point. You'd be building your own a new ship. Right. But we got to take a break right here. So let's do that. Let's come right back after the break and continue this conversation. I do want to talk about more applications. But the other thing, and I've been watching Twitter here, very interesting. It's just like dudes release this information to humanity. Let's get it out there. We'll talk about that after the break. This is Fade to Black.
JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Do you worry a lot? If you're forgetful, nervous, moody, or overwhelmed, chances are you're not protecting yourself from the ravaging effects of stress and anxiety. No matter the cause, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, your quality of life, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in as little as 1 to 2 weeks and increase your ability to recall facts, names, and numbers in 4 to 12 weeks. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. Try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll feel the difference. Call 1-800-758-8746 or go to calmandclever.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. What a great show tonight. Mark McCandlish and Shane Seymore. Talking about the VCMD, this revolutionary new propulsion system that Shane has developed. Sort of, I guess I could say this is kind of like a family DNA, right, Shane? This is just like, this has been a continuing effort, and you've just continued the process from your father.
Yes, that would be true. I even looked into some of my heritage, and on my father's side, he was a direct descendant from the Compton family in the UK, and, royalty. They were farmers. And my grandfather's side was the original Hammerschmidts in Germany during the Dark Ages as blacksmiths. So I got a lot of heritage that all intermingles that just, I guess, made a good product.
Well, now this is what everybody's talking about right now, and I'm watching the chat rooms and Twitter, and I got a couple of emails too about why not take this straight open source, just lay it out there for the public.
Well, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's my brain baby. You know, it's mine, and I don't want to be selfish or anything like that, but I mean, I definitely want to get my own company.
Yeah,
out of it.
There's ways to monetize it, but also going open source protects you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been told about that. Yeah.
Well, you know, that's certainly a possibility if something like, a suppression effort did come to the surface. We could always go open source as kind of a reprisal, if you will. But I think that every individual has a right to benefit from their own intellectual property, and I've certainly done everything I could to support Shane in his effort to get this thing going.
Oh, there's ways
I think it's an incredible device.
Sure, there's ways to monetize it. That part of it would be the easy part, but I'm saying for protection, just lay it out there. Here it is. You've got it patented, but just throw it out there so everybody can see exactly what's going on, and make it eventually a gift to all of humanity, and gift it. You'd be the hero. That's oh man. There's ways to monetize being a hero too. Write that book. But anyway, there are other guys out there. The reason why I'm bringing up this whole open source thing, I'm not going to name names, but there are a couple of guys out there that are on the far side of creepy that I don't even like saying their name, but that have always tried to push some kind of secret technology that is magic, and they choose to monetize that and then never deliver on the said product, right? And it just gets, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Shane. What I'm saying is that's part of the danger too as well.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. I spent 25 years having my life threatened by such an individual over the ARV.
Right.
And he eventually angered the right, or perhaps the wrong people, and I really believe that they put him in the ground, and they did it with the genetically modified strain of MRSA. So, and that's you'll find that's something that pops up over and over again in this particular area is suddenly coming down with Staphylococcus, what's it called? Methicillin-resistant Staph aureus.
Yes. Well, and again, I wanted to ask about, I'm just watching Twitter, about the patent side of things. Where are you in those stages? Are we years away from this going public, or are we months away?
It kind of depends on the engineering factor of that. If I can find a funder that can back the technology and actually start producing them, then it would be, it would have been last year. But the patents have come along just fine. It's in its first stages right now.
So are you in patent applied for? Do you have numbers?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, we have a fellow, and I'll just call him Norm for the sake of this conversation, who is an incredible engineer when it comes to computer-generated imagery. We have the entire system mapped out in CAD. And we can go right from there to all the machining that's necessary for building the prototype. The funding, as Shane said, is a big issue. We've just concluded a conference with a fellow from a country outside the United States that is very interested in funding this. We still haven't seen the cold hard cash at this point, but they've expressed a very serious interest in engaging with us in the development of this product. So I have some very good feelings about it getting built and actually being demonstrated.
What would be the first application?
I'd like it to be a desert runner car is what I'd really like to build. A constant velocity speed racer car.
Mark, what would you like to see first? Well, I know what you want. You want a friggin' flying saucer.
I want to fly around like Superman. I confess. I want to strap one of these things to my back and fly around like Commando Cody from the 1960s.
Now, if this was on, forget about the Harrier, but if you look at the way that the F-35 is running now, with some kind of central turbofan in the middle, right, in the middle of the car, would that be an application for, say, a fighter jet or something like that? Would the triangle sit in the middle? Would there just be a giant one there? And would you have to see it? You wouldn't even have to see it rotate. It could stay inside the fuselage.
That's right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. From the standpoint of an aircraft like the Navy version of the F-35, yes, you could use the turbine engines to drive a VCMD, which will probably be very effective. Actually, you'll probably have to gear it down so it didn't run so fast. But yes, you could use that to provide a hovering type of lift, and you wouldn't have to have that big vertically mounted turbine that's up in the front end right behind the cockpit. That's a tremendous waste of space for avionics and weapons payload, that kind of thing. That is all space that could be used for fuel and other things that would enhance the capabilities of the aircraft, especially with a VCMD. You probably have to put like I said before, a number of them together to work in unison rather than having one large one. You'd have several smaller ones to be able to stay within the performance parameters that Shane has talked about.
And Shane, is the cost of getting the patents finished? Is that what's prohibitive at this point?
Yes, it's very expensive. It starts off at $58,000 for my size device, and then that is without the complexity of it, because the more complex it gets, the more expensive it gets.
Well, especially if you have multiple claims that you are filing as part of the intellectual property. Just the fact that you have a device that can throw its weight around and accomplish, a certain type of lifting action. There are all sorts of features that are incorporated into making that happen that are also patentable, that are also unique and novel to this particular device, which have to be covered in those patents. And so every time you add some feature like that to your list of claims, of course, the research, checking with other patents that have already been filed and this kind of thing, it can extend the amount of time that a patent attorney is going to have to use to get the patent or to make sure that it is truly novel and unique from other things that are already in existence. So that adds to the expense.
Right, and also on that patenting and open source and stuff like that. I mean, for anybody else that's out there listening, I mean, I want the people to have it. And, somebody else talked to me not too long ago about military funding, go military funding. But if you go military funding, they own it, and we can't have it. We basically have to stay here on Earth. That game is over.
Right.
And I don't want that to happen, so I'm trying to figure out the best way to not only still have ownership of it, as my device, but also have it open source, for the world to use. So, because, I mean, some of the applications on this, I mean, look at the fires and stuff. A plane, an airplane only has a certain kind of load that it can actually lift. And then you have to go all the way over there, land it, fill it, take off again, or this device, you could basically have a flying box or a bathtub and just put 6 of these things on, because a bigger device is calculated out at 107 tons. And that's a 22-inch in radius device. And that's still at the beginning of its power curve.
Right.
And, you can just take this box and and basically have like 5 or 6 of these devices that are radio controlled and just flood the entire forest, and almost immediately. So, buildings.
Yeah.
Buildings, you put...
Yeah, go ahead.
me and Mark were talking about, some of the applications and even buildings. I was in school and 9/11 happened. And if you were to have a couple of these devices, the bigger ones, on a couple of the levels, like every other level or and you just have a lowered ceiling with these devices and they're attached to the framing of the building. And if something was to happen, like an earthquake or a fire or something like that, you could actually turn these things back on and make the building a lot lighter than originally.
Yeah.
So,
You could stabilize the entire structure by relieving the lower components in the building of all the weight that's being tossed around by, the motion of an earthquake or the impact of an aircraft, or even controlled demolition that maybe you're not aware of is going on in the midst of the building.
Well,
that would be pretty funny if they did all of that destructive activity inside a building and then the building didn't fall. That would be hilarious.
Well, you also have the application of elevators, right?
Yep, that's
you
right.
could take out all of the cabling and all of everything that is involved.
Jimmy, what a fantastic idea, Jimmy. You've just hit on probably one of the best ideas I've heard all day.
Yeah,
that's great.
I mean, because that's one of the things in building design, especially when you get up over 10 floors, right? And you get up to 20, 30, 40, 50 floor. The amount of weight and mechanics that is involved with that, right? To get up and down. If you can eliminate everything and have this underneath the elevator, right? And just pushing it up.
Especially those skyscrapers, there's probably thousands of pounds worth of cable to lift those things.
Thousands of tons of cable.
Even speed, you could even charge up to the top at like 2 Gs, and get from the bottom to the top because those pulley systems in those elevators are very slow.
Yeah, they're slow.
You kind of feel a little bit, but...
And you have the counterweights. You have the counterweights on the other side. No, what we could do is just lay down and just fire. So
I hope it turns off.
What a great idea!
Hey Shane, I wanted to go back really quick for the audience. I'll get this up later, but the crop circle images that we posted at the beginning of the show. I want you to explain those to everybody because we posted them and then just, it's because Mark's on the show. We blew past all of this. Let's go back to the first image, which is it's your 2-unit variety. I'm guessing here instead of 3, right? Yeah. But you've got it overlaid on a crop circle. What are we looking at here?
You're looking at the part of the one of the first designs. I think that was the Mark II. Or it was the Mark II. And what that is it's a little bit of the device itself that it kind of lays into. You're to look at the entire crop circle, then you'd have exactly what I have now. I'm not sure how to really go about it. I'm not really a big-time UFO guy, but I have seen 2 so far, and I've never really, Mark was one of the only ones I actually talked to about it. And, but I've seen these events, and I really haven't really thought about them. So once the device was built and I had the sketches of it and stuff like that, I was actually listening to Mark McCandlish on, I think it was one of the UFO things, or one of his podcasts. And so down from that, it was like all about like ancient Egypt and crop circles and different things around the world. And I was watching through it, and I saw that. I'm like, wait a second, go back. And then I looked at it, I'm like, wow, there's a couple of these in here that are just like my device. It's got the internal workings and everything, even, other aspects.
Right.
And I was just blown away. I sat there and stared at them for almost hours. Just like, how could this... Now I'm entering into a world that I know nothing about, but I see things,
There's, hey man, crop circles, and you start to get into that zone, man. There is some communication about technology. That's real. Now, the second image that you sent also was an overlay, but again, explain why were you compelled to, because now the Mark II is held horizontal here, and you've got it on one of the three on the triangle spots on the crop circle. What compelled you to overlay this?
That is part of what makes the VCMD possible, is a timing aspect. It's very in depth and probably shouldn't be on there. So,
what do you mean?
Well, it's the timing of my device in a very early stage.
Okay. Now the third image, which you've got fluid, empty, discharge, right? What are we looking at here with this image? You're not giving away it's already up on Twitter, so that part of it's over. But what are we looking at here?
Which picture is that?
You're overlaying your notebook paper, and the note says fluid change, empty, discharge, and you've got two directions going.
Oh, that's just a part of the timing too. That's nothing.
25 pounds full.
Yeah, that's a giant device. I just started working on a bigger device, and it's not supposed to be 25 pounds. It's like 25 ounces. There's a lot of errors in a lot of that older stuff.
Okay, it's just fun for me to look at. That's all. Now, the other, I can go ahead and post this. We've got it up on the banner, but your force with time, and this is a Mark III, right? This is the triangle.
Yeah.
Can I post this up in Twitter?
I would suggest not, please.
Okay. All right. And so what are we looking at here, though? Describe this, because I see the blue, green, red, and the three waves of each, blue, green, and red. I find it interesting how they all tie together, and you've got force, plus or minus, and then over time. Can you explain this for me?
I'm trying to get to your Twitter to see what you're looking at here.
No, it's not up in Twitter.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. It's in the emails, right?
Yeah, you just told me not to post it.
Right. Hold on one second.
I think we should post it.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the force and time measurement?
Yes.
That was something that my buddy had created to show the force. Green is force, blue is the after time, and the red is the before time.
Okay, and so as you go forward in time, what increases to go positive in force? You're moving forward in time?
No, you're not moving forward in time. It's on a timed rotation, basically. That's just the rotational timing.
Okay, I got you. And then the white in the background, the white waveform, what is that?
That's force. That's the actual force tonnage.
Very interesting. So what increases here? What increases force? Is it the RPM?
It's the RPM, it's the fluid mass, and it's the device size.
What is the fluid that you're using?
I was using just regular hydraulic fluid.
And okay, interesting. Well, what would changing the fluid do? What if you went to mercury?
I've already been through all that. There is some heavier compounds that I want to use, but they're extremely expensive out of my price range for sure. They have that ferric fluid that I would like to use. It's very heavy. And you can. That's why it's variable. You can use it, any type of fluid in it. You could use water if you wanted, but it also depends on that weight. If a fluid is going to be heavier, then it's going to have more efficiency.
Mark, I wanted to ask you about the ARV and its propulsion system and your cutaway drawing and your proposals there and the efficiency of that 0-point system. This is not 0 point, what we're talking about here. It's the exact opposite of 0 point, actually. But, no, I'm not making fun of anything, but would be the exact opposite. But there are similarities here, too, as well, I see, with the ARV. Do you feel like there is some type of exotic design here?
Well, I think what Shane has accomplished is he has successfully developed a device that does the very thing that so many other inventors have attempted to do over the past several hundred years, which is basically to take a weight that's on a rotating mechanism and throw it out to the edge of that circle of rotation and pull it back to the center on the downstroke, so to speak, in a way that allows you to create a kind of a mass driver effect, throwing the weight in such a way and often enough, fast enough, that it creates lift. The problem with all those other systems is that when you are in the process of retracting that weight back to the center of this rotation, it creates all these other vectors that are imparted to the mechanism. So it sits on the table and it winds up jumping up and down rather than just lifting off the way you would hope. That is what's unique. That is what is so special about Shane's design, is because it's using a fluid mass. It's able to do all of those things because there's none of the mechanical linkages to the center of rotation like those previous designs.
Right.
That's why it works.
And it's stable.
Yes.
And again, it would, instead of bouncing up and down on the table or anything like that, this is fluid, smooth, consistent, and linear.
And I would imagine it's very quiet, too.
That was my last question. Shane, how quiet is this?
The first one wasn't very quiet at all. It had a kind of a whumping sound to it. Every time when the fluid would go through it, it'd go whomp, 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 whomp. You know, it was kind of funny sounding. So, but the newer Mark 6 has alleviated all those other design flaws.
How often, and I've only got about 2 minutes left here for the two of you, how long is that cycle to go from outside to inside? The reason why I'm asking, when we are dealing with, crazy amounts of RPM here, 3,500 to 10,000 and
fluid dynamics.
Yeah. How quick is this cycle?
The smaller one I calculated out to about 5 milliseconds.
Really?
No.
Yep.
Man, can you imagine the amount of pressure? Can you imagine the amount of friction? I mean, this is why it creates so much heat, is because you're moving that amount of fluid through the system that fast.
Now, what kind of metallurgy are we talking about here? What kind of metals are needed for this to withstand? That's some serious heat and pressure.
Right now, we're still really low budgeted, so we're doing a small, the smaller version just as a demonstration, and it's made out of aluminum. But something like titanium or unobtainium. Right. Something like that would be perfect. But it's also very, very, very costly. Your price went from, $80,000 a device to $150,000 a device just in material cost. So
now, if this, and now what is your projection? If this was something that was going to be applied to just a car, right? Just somebody's car in their driveway, are we talking about this thing getting down to hundreds of dollars?
Yeah, I could see development. I mean, that's the way technology goes, isn't it? I mean, look at the first smartphone. It was like, what, $10,000 or $15,000 or something like that?
No, I understand that, but this is so exotic. I mean, could it get that cheap, or is it just completely prohibitive? There's a reason why there aren't turbines on cars today, and we build a lot of turbines.
Right, well, there are manufacturing processes that can bring the cost down. once we have a better understanding of what the best kinds of materials are for the manufacturing of this, because obviously if you have fluids moving through a device at extremely high speeds, extremely high pressures, there's going to be an erosion on the inside of the components that will need to be handled by using ceramics or other things like that.
Right.
So, we're looking at all the possibilities in terms of the material science that's involved.
Right.
But I do imagine that once you get into, the mass production side of creating something like this, that, yes, the cost would be able to come down to a point where it would be affordable.
Wow, this is exciting stuff. I mean, the whole concept behind it, obviously the space travel, that's part of it. But airplanes and conventional and cars and skateboards and everything else that we could do right here on Earth is very exciting. But the technology itself could be built and fine-tuned now. The technology is real.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
One of the nice things is it's super efficient is because it spins up to an RPM and it stays there. You basically manipulate the amount of fluid, less force, more fluid, more force. And you're basically just using a small subsystem to drive it. Right. And in turn, you get a linear force out of it.
This is absolutely amazing. Fascinating conversation, you two. And
thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. And we'll pick this up again in a few months as things start to progress. But the poop is out of the bag, as they say. Okay, this is it. Now everything's it's going to start to move forward at a very fast clip because now you got to stay ahead of everybody else. And thank you
very much, Jimmy.
Yeah. Hey, Shane, behave and be well out there. Mark, as always, we'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Great conversation. Shane Seymore, Mark McCandlish. I don't know how Mark does it, man, but he's always out there. He's always out there getting it done. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll open up the phone lines and get to some other stuff right after this. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter. But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
I'm Matt Ray with America's First News. We all know if you're planning a trip, you should shop and compare, right? But why endlessly search the web when you don't have to? Flight Services helps you find the lowest possible airfare. Talk directly to a travel pro right now for the best deals available. Their travel pros have additional discounts not found on websites, and Flight Services provides 24-hour customer service. Call toll-free 844-845-9944. That's 844-845-9944.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Yeah. I guess in some parts of the country it's my birthday. I'm watching all of the tweets. Thank you guys for that. That's really cool. I had to retweet one of them. But, okay, I've opened up the phone lines. Calls are coming in, so let's go ahead and put that on hold and just stay right there. I'll get to you in just a second. I've opened up the phone lines, 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. This is the thing, and I want everybody to understand the brilliance of Shane's project here. It is mechanical. There are no magnets. There isn't anything claiming that there's more energy coming out than there is being put in. It's a free energy device, and you know what the patent office does with all of that. So there's that aspect. The other aspect, we were talking about, cars that run on water and secret devices and carburetors. And no, that's not what this is also. This is a purely mechanical device with a mechanical solution to moving fluids around. And the way that it works, it creates lift or force. It creates a force. It creates a propulsion. And so it's not turning tires in a car. I suppose you could hook it up to a transmission and try to figure out a way to do something like that. But that's not its application. It runs in a totally different way. Now, this is what is brilliant about it, and that's where the appeal is to me, and should be for everybody else. When I look at, and there's lots, I get all kinds of email and information and guys that want to talk about their free energy devices, and I know that there are free thinkers out there with backyard basement laboratories working on this, and we should move forward. But this type of idea, which is purely mechanical, is very appealing because there isn't any magic here. It is a solution. You have to think about that. It's a mechanical solution to get it done. I just find it absolutely brilliant, and it should be moved forward. Now the cat is out of the bag. Now the idea is presented. Now it's out there. And there's no turning back at this point, and I'm glad that it was done on Fade to Black. Okay, now, also, okay, thank you, everybody. Happy birthday, thank you. Well, save all of that for tomorrow night, okay? Save all of that. tomorrow night. Mark Tarana just said, so what is the real world application for the technology? I think that all of that has been clearly stated. Think about this. Anything that needs movement, anything, boats, planes, cars, trucks, trains, elevators, all of this is an application for it. Think about that. That is the app, just right there. Man alive, could clean up a lot. It could clean up a lot. Think about our precious Earth and our atmosphere, too, as well. And then, of course, a solution to the stars. All right, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. It's Fran.
Hi, Fran. How are you?
I'm good. I find all of that very interesting, but my favorite part of tonight, because I know tomorrow night I won't be able to get in on the phone, is I wanted to tell you happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, Fran.
And I know you gave everybody a bunch of crap about, quit, save it till tomorrow, but yeah, tomorrow it'll be busy.
Well, tomorrow, we'll save. I don't even know. Tomorrow night is how do I say this? It's going to be a really cool show. So what do? Do I just back off and it's Anthony Sanchez. So if I open up the phones tomorrow with Anthony and I go from a really cool ET show to a Happy Birthday Jimmy show. Poor Anthony's going to have to kick back and listen to 100 phone calls back to back. I don't know. You know what? He's maybe. I don't know. It's
these people are awesome. The ones you've got on tonight, tomorrow night, they're awesome. But so are you.
Fran. Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
I had to call in and say happy birthday, and in 10 days. It'll be my birthday right after yours.
Yeah, that's right. At Libra.
Yeah.
And
we're 10 years apart.
Are you almost hardcore? You're almost Leo. So you're a Libra with a Leo rising for real, right?
No. I'm a Libra with Aries moon and Aquarius rising.
Oh, that's why you're so strange. Now, see, all that. now it all makes sense, Fran. It's all clear.
Really?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Fran. You're such a dear friend, and just thank you for that. And I'll prematurely say happy birthday to you too as well. But I'll see you tomorrow night on the show. Thank you so much.
You betcha. Love you and Rita.
Right back at you, Fran. You know that. Thank you so much.
All right. Good night.
Good night. I know what Fran's doing right now. She's got something really chilled in front of her and saying happy birthday to me. Thank you so much for that, Fran. And it means a lot. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live. Oh, okay. Well, that's somebody that just chickened out. Phone lines are open. Go ahead. 323 323-825, 323-825-5045, or 323-275-9695. But back to this idea, it's mechanical. See, when the patent office sees something that is, and I'm going to be polite here, but when they see something that's a free energy device, they see something that's anti-gravity, they see some time travel, patent applied for thing, they just back off on that, and it just gets rejected. And it could be real, could work, but that's what they do, right? That's what they do. This is mechanical. And it's technically an engine. That's all it is. It's a propulsion device. So you got to look at it in those terms. I think this could get patented. I really do. All right, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Debbie from Sacramento.
Hi, Debbie from Sacramento. How are you? Good show tonight, huh?
Excellent show. Excellent. All my life I've been having dreams of flying, right? Now it can be a reality.
Well, that's what we all think about that stuff first. And I do. I really do. I talked about this. It's been a while, but a few years probably. But my flying dreams, I don't have them anymore. I haven't had them for probably 45 years. I haven't had them. I used to have these dreams when I was 5, 6 years old of flying around our backyard and looking at the playground and seeing my brothers and sisters and my neighbors playing, and I would, cruise around above them trying to get their attention. Look at me, that kind of. But I don't have them. I haven't had them for a long, long, long time. I don't fly in my dreams.
Because you grew up, Jimmy. You grew up.
I know it's a drag because I used to love those. And you know how I would. This is how I would fly. You know how I would fly? I would just jump. I would just jump and just keep going, and float. And just float up there and look down. I wouldn't go up really high. I would, maybe 100 yards above the playground. And I used to have that dream constantly. I miss that dream. I want that dream back.
I know, because it's the most exciting feeling when you wake up. You wish you could go back to sleep and keep doing it because it's so much fun.
Have you ever,
while you're experiencing it?
Have you ever hang glided?
No.
That's got to be the closest thing to flying, I would think.
Just think, if those poor people on 9/11 had this device, they could have jumped out and saved their lives.
Well, I know that's what he was saying. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting way to look at things and use it for building safety. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that, Deb. Well, Deb,
well, I can't wait till it comes out.
I can't either, and I'm telling you, it is mechanical, and that's the beauty. Thank you so much, Deb. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you so much. She's absolutely right. The flying dreams. We all want to fly. That's always the first application, and they're getting close when it comes to the hoverboard, right? Back to the Future, the hoverboard. But man, wouldn't it be cool, right? Couple of these on the bottom of a skateboard. It's game on. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Me?
Yes, you're live.
Bill, West Virginia.
Hey, Bill in West Virginia. How are you?
Great, man. Pleasure. Hey, I never did catch how he initially got power to the device. What initially gets it running? Create all the centrifugal force.
Yeah, electricity, Bill. It's all electricity. There's no gas motors, nothing like that. Not a turbine. It's electric. Electric motors.
Gotcha. Okay, that's all I was wondering, man.
All right, thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you, bud.
Have a great night. Let's stay on the phones. All right, I'll keep it going. Oh, I just lost that one. Okay. 323. What time is it? Yeah, I got it. I'll keep the phones open. 323-825-5045, 323-275-9695. A couple of things I want to get out of the way really quick. It's now been reported that nearly 5 million people, young people, have volunteered to join or rejoin and enlist in the North Korean military to fight Washington. Now, this is according to the KCNA state news agency out of North Korea, saying its volunteers want to send millions of nuclear bombs to wipe out the United States. Millions of nuclear bombs. Now, but this is the funny part of this report. Some 1.22 million women also reportedly promised to volunteer. However, and there's always a however, it's not clear if this number is already included in the 4.7 million figure released by KCNA. Boy, formidable. Doesn't scare me. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Yeah, what's happening, Jimmy? Brad here.
Hey, Brad here. What are you doing?
Not much. I was just catching the very end of the show, kind of digging it. Yeah, the North Korea thing, man. I forgot about MacArthur. He just came in and cleaned that place out back in the day, right?
So, what do you think about this this propulsion system?
I'm totally digging it. I'm thinking temperature definitely has to do with a lot of it. I was researching some stuff recently that showed when you can bring like some colder temperatures in and then transfer them quick, it kind of makes like a hyper, energy out of that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But what if the fluid is cold, a cold fluid? What if it was like liquid oxygen? Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like those kids in Israel or wherever it was over there, they're doing some great stuff in the college, testing stuff.
Yeah. I hear you there. When you start to think about, different actual just coolants that we use every day in our cars. So what if the fluid was something like that resisted heating? So that's a possibility, but I don't know. And
what about gold? Would gold be a good coolant? Maybe liquid gold.
I don't know. I've never heard of liquid gold. Isn't that called oil?
That's black gold, baby.
Yeah. So I know. And Mark brought up a really good point. He goes, you have the corrosive possibilities on the inside where you're moving these fluids around at such a high speed, and that over time that would need to be flushed out and cleaned. But maybe the inside could be lined with ceramics, for instance, or some other exotic material on the inside to avoid corrosion. Gold would be an answer for that. Gold is soft, but again, I don't understand a lot of stuff when it comes to mechanical engineering, physics, electricity. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not a double E or an ME. I'm not anything. So, but I do understand the principle of it when we're talking about something that is mechanical. This isn't some exotic anti-gravity crazy thing, in the future, Star Trek. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a simple mechanical device where the problems that were early on with these types of devices has now been worked out. They figured out a way to get it done, and it's mechanical, and that's what is cool for me.
They're definitely on to something. I'm really stoked to see that people are putting forth, their best foot, and I'm actually surprised that they're coming out and sharing this knowledge, publicly, which is pretty amazing. And, just keep bringing that, bring these people forward, and maybe through sharing it, we could all get together and just collect this kind of knowledge somehow and bring it to the forefront.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And part of stepping forward and going public is also part of the protection. Always remember that. Okay, all of the secret parts of the stuff that can't be revealed, obviously for the it's his intellectual property, and they have figured this out. So that part of it is still protected, but the principle of it and the fact that it's mechanical and it's not magic, that has now gone public, and that is the brilliant part of this. I need everybody to understand exactly what I'm trying to say here. Okay,
right.
There are guys out there that that leave a bad taste in my mouth that are talking magic, right? And I've been through that. I've been through that in a past life, in another career where I was exposed to somebody that had fairy dust and was trying to sell the fairy dust. Well, I'm talking about electricity, and you know what? Just save that. Save that. I don't want to be part of it. This is different. This is mechanical. Thank you so much, Brad. Be safe and be well, man. I'll see you tomorrow night on the show.
All right, brother. Take care.
Thank you so much. That's Brad Harris, our photographer, and one talented guy. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. This is Danae.
Oh, Danae. How are you?
I am well. How are you tonight?
I'm just glad to hear your voice.
Well, fantastic, because, I've enjoyed your show. totally talking over my head on mechanical things. I just don't get half of the mechanical things. So anything that's going to make that easier will be wonderful for me.
Well, same thing for me, Danae. I always need, when it comes to technical stuff like this, I need to be talked to like I'm 4 years old.
Exactly. I got you beat by 1 year.
Okay, fine. There you go. All right. So what's on your mind tonight, real quick? Because
what's on my mind, real quick, is to draw this full circle, and let's just put down some really, really wonderful energy for some rain on those fires.
Oh man, you're not kidding.
I can feel it.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Thank you so much, and we'll put out those positive vibes right now.
Beautiful. Have a great night, Jimmy.
Thank you, Danae. We'll see you tomorrow.
All righty.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Positive vibes on the rain. This is not cool. Our weather around the world, and this natural stuff, whether it's fires here, all across the United States, really, but here in Southern California and in Washington, and that we have earthquakes. We've got another hurricane that just went through Louisiana. 4 hurricanes in 6 weeks. 4 hurricanes, 2 major earthquakes in a week. It's just freaky stuff going on here, and it is overshadowing everything else. And it's taking the energy, it's taking the wind out of our sails. We don't have a chance to take a breath here. All right, one last phone call before the end of the night. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Jason from Louisiana. How you doing, man?
Hey, Jason from Louisiana. How are you guys doing out there?
Oh, we're doing great. I'm in mid-Louisiana, so no hurricane here.
Okay.
But,
that's good.
I've been flying wingsuits for about 10 years, skydiving.
Right.
And I hear his motion machine, and I see the dynamics of the wingsuits changing and the technology changing. So I don't doubt his technology, because I see the technology in, gliding through the air through the last 10 years. Even the last 5 has gotten so much better. I mean, if you even look at these wingsuits over in China, they're flying through mountains, and they got a very good glide ratio for the, amount of wind coming in and helping them stay alift and stuff like that. So
right.
I think anything's possible.
Do you remember the Rocket Man video, that guy that cruised up next to the airliner?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was...
Wow. He's in Dubai now.
That was just nuts. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Geez. But, yeah, you're absolutely
that's
right.
What I'm saying, though. That's a sturdy suit. We fly mostly like fabric style wingsuits, where it's between our legs.
Yeah.
2 different wings on our arms. Right. I have about 850 jumps on them. But, the wingsuit technology has just excelled so much. You get so much more glide for the same suit, really. Just a little bit more surface area. But I'm just saying that, these technologies that people are designing, I think they're just more fine-tuned.
Now, how many...
I don't doubt it, but...
hold on for a second. How many times have you jumped with a wingsuit?
About 850. I have almost 3,000 skydives. I took, I was a tandem instructor for a long time in this area, so...
Wow.
Definitely, took a lot of people skydiving, and for sure for their first time.
Well, now, what about... hold on a minute,
sure.
man. Now, I'm at the end of the show here, so I do have to wrap. I've only got 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Do you have any video?
Oh, I have tons of video.
Oh, man.
Video. I could definitely send you some. I'll email you some. I have me actually flying a wingsuit next to a tandem. That's actually under parachute.
Yes. I would love to see it. We'll post it for the rest of the Fadernauts. Amazing.
Awesome, Jimmy.
I would love
Thanks
to see it.
Thanks for the show, man. Great info tonight. I appreciate you for everything you do, buddy.
Send me those videos. I'm not playing.
I shall.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem, Jimmy. I shall.
Have a great night.
All right. You too.
What a great show tonight, and I'm sorry for everybody that's left on hold, but I do have to wrap. But thank you for the birthday wishes. We'll save everything else for tomorrow night. But a fantastic show tonight. Revealing this kind of technology is a game changer. Technology is a big deal. And I have to thank Shane for stepping forward. It's much easier to stay in the background and ride this stuff out. But you know what? Days turn into weeks, turn into months, turn into years. And the next thing you know, you didn't get it done. And that's what's all important here. You've got to take your chances. You've got to move forward. It is mechanical. It is not magic. And, and Mark McCandlish. Mark has been talking to me about this for a long time. I wanted to wait until the time was right, so we chose to do it tonight on Fade to Black. So everybody, you just enjoy what happened tonight. You will not forget where you were on this evening. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. All right, we're going to see everybody tomorrow night. Now, Anthony F. Sanchez is my guest tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about the interdimensionality, the parallel world contact aspect of ET. It's going to be a fantastic show. All right? And maybe I'll take some phone calls tomorrow night. I know you guys want to wish me a happy birthday. I get all of that. All right. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark T. Kovar, LJ3, Renee Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar, Fady by Dale, Webmaster Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. Thank you, Shane Seymore and Mark McCandlish. Groundbreaking show. Tonight was a game changer. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, Anthony F. Sanchez. I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.